It was a silver key, small, nondescript, and tucked into the side pocket of her purse. The one she rarely used, the one I only touched because I was searching for her migraine meds. A simple act of help that turned into something else. I wouldn't have thought twice, but I knew every key we owned. House, car, office, mailbox. This one was none of those. No tag, no ring, just a bare, unfamiliar key sitting where no bare key should be. If you've ever uncovered betrayal not in words, but in quiet, calculated choices, like, subscribe, and stay for more stories where the truth doesn't shout, it just opens a door. I asked her about it later, casually. She didn't even blink. Oh, that? I think it's from an old P.O. box. Probably trash. But she didn't throw it out. Just slid it back into the purse like I'd asked about a paperclip. That was the first crack. Not the lie itself, but the ease with which she told it. We'd been married 7 years. Built a life on routines, shared goals, financial transparency, at least I thought. We had joint accounts. No children. She worked part-time at a boutique downtown, said it kept her sane. We weren't rich, but we were stable. Our mortgage was modest. Her wardrobe, well, stylish, but not extravagant. At least, not outwardly. That key stayed in the back of my mind for days. Until one Saturday, while she was at brunch with friends, I got in the car and started checking the local storage units. It felt ridiculous at first, like chasing ghosts. But on the third stop, I held out the key. It clicked, and what I saw inside made my stomach turn. There were no boxes, no furniture, no childhood keepsakes, just racks of designer clothes, neatly hung, still tagged, rows of bags, shelves of heels, untouched, boxes from every high-end brand I'd only heard about in passing. Dior, Chanel, Saint Laurent, hundreds of pieces, all new, all hidden. There was no dust, no sign of sentimentality. Just consumption, systematic, secret, and suddenly, all the little things, her vague explanations for missing deposits, the hesitation when I brought up budgeting, the recent retail therapy, crystallized into something real and much, much bigger. She hadn't just spent money. She'd built an entire second wardrobe, a second life, behind my back. And I had no idea how deep the closet went. I didn't touch anything. I just stood there, beneath the harsh fluorescent light, surrounded by luxury, trying to absorb what I was looking at. It felt less like a storage unit and more like a showroom. Every item was pristine, tags still attached, shoes stacked by color, handbags arranged like museum pieces, each shelf a testament to secrecy, not style. I took out my phone, snapped photos. Slowly, thoroughly, not for revenge, not yet, just record-keeping, because I knew whatever conversation came next, I'd need proof. Not for her, for me. The receipts were still there too, in boxes, in binders. Color-coded folders tucked neatly against the wall. She hadn't just bought these things, she documented them. Like trophies. A quick scan through a handful of receipts told me everything I needed to know. She'd spent over $100,000. Not over time, not over a lifetime. In just 2 years. And not one conversation. Not one mention. Not 1 ounce of transparency. She'd told me we were tight on funds. That we needed to hold off on travel. That I was overspending on groceries. All while building a secret empire in silk and Italian leather. I walked out and locked the unit behind me. My hands were steady, but my chest burned. Not from the dollar amount. From the deception. It wasn't just that she spent the money. It was that she built a whole second identity without ever inviting me in. That she had a storage unit filled with secrets while I'd been budgeting for a new water heater. And in that moment, I knew something fundamental had shifted. I wasn't angry yet. I wasn't even heartbroken. I was just clear. This wasn't about money. This was about betrayal in its most polished form. She didn't need a lover to cheat. She needed a receipt she never thought I'd read. When she got home that evening, I didn't ask where she'd been. I didn't ask about the brunch, or the friends, or the mimosa she would no doubt mention in passing like a casual charm. I just waited until she was settled. Shoes off, scarf draped on the hook. scrolling through her phone like nothing had shifted. Then I placed the photos on the kitchen table. Printouts. I had them done at the drugstore. Color. Crisp. Her handwriting visible on the receipts. Her coat, her shoes, her bags. The entire hidden gallery captured in 7 pages of glossy paper. She looked at them, blinking. No gasp. No apology. Just a pause. And then, "You went through my things?" That was her opening line. Not "Why were you there?" Not "I can explain." Not "I'm sorry." Just defense. Deflection. The telltale signs of someone not caught off guard, but caught off script. "I found the key," I said. "It didn't belong. Just like this doesn't." She stood slowly, arms crossed. It's not like I was cheating. And there it was. That line. That subtle distortion of what betrayal really means. As if intimacy is the only currency that counts, and dishonesty about debt is somehow more forgivable than dishonesty about desire. "You lied to me," I said. "For 2 years. While I made sacrifices. While we talked about cutting corners. You were building a closet in a unit I didn't even know existed." Her jaw tightened. "I work. I earned that. From our account," I reminded her. "From the money we agreed to share. There's no job on your resume that explains 100 grand in Hermes." She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She didn't even sit back down. She just said, flatly, "It's not that big of a deal." And that, more than the secret unit, more than the receipts, more than the gaslighting, that was the moment I knew we were done. It wasn't the spending. It was the absence of remorse. She wasn't sorry because she didn't think it mattered. To her, the closet wasn't a betrayal. It was her right. And my trust? Apparently, just a budget she never planned to stick to. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Not because I was angry. Not out of spite. Just logic. Cold, measured logic. I wanted to know what I was up against, what I still had time to protect before she turned our joint accounts into clearance for her designer addiction. The attorney listened as I laid it all out. The hidden storage unit, the unapproved spending, the receipts, the denial. He didn't sound surprised. "Financial infidelity," he said, "is quieter than cheating, but often more devastating." I moved quickly, had my name removed from any credit card I hadn't opened, froze our joint line of credit, printed everything, created a financial affidavit. We weren't high net worth, but I wasn't going to be the one left holding the debt while she played victim with a matching clutch. When I told her I'd hired counsel, she didn't flinch. She said, "So you're really going to ruin our marriage over clothes?" That line stayed with me, not because it hurt, but because it proved how little she understood what had happened. She hadn't just bought handbags and shoes. She'd rewritten the rules of our life, secretly. She'd spent money meant for a future, for emergencies, for both of us, on image, illusion, ego. She'd watched me budget, plan, stress over house repairs while knowing full well she had $100,000 hanging in a unit with her initials stitched into the lining. I didn't need revenge. I needed distance. So I gave her 48 hours to collect what was hers, from the unit and from the house. I stayed with a friend during that time. No confrontation. No scenes. When I returned, the closet was half empty. The storage key sat on the counter. But her sense of entitlement still lingered in the air, like expensive perfume that had long since turned sour. We filed for divorce 2 weeks later. No mediation. No begging. Just signatures. I kept the house. She kept her couture. And I kept the one thing she never knew how to value, my self-respect. Peace doesn't always arrive like a sunrise. Sometimes, it comes in the quiet thud of a door closing behind someone who never thought they'd be asked to leave. It settles into your bones the first time you walk through your home and realize no part of it is a lie anymore. No closets filled with secrets. No drawers hiding receipts. Just your space. Honest, imperfect, yours. I changed the locks a week after the papers were signed. She didn't contest the terms. She didn't offer apologies. She moved into a condo near downtown and, according to mutual acquaintances, still dresses like a runway and posts photos with captions about reclaiming her voice. Let her have that story. I have mine. I still think about that unit sometimes, not with anger, but with clarity. She needed a place to hide what she couldn't explain. I needed the truth to decide what I could no longer tolerate. In the end, we both got what we were looking for. I gave her freedom. She gave me proof. And now, when I see a flash of red-soled heels or hear a familiar brand whispered on a commercial, I don't feel bitterness. I feel distance and gratitude for the key I found, the question I asked, and the decision I made before it was too late. Because in the end, I didn't lose $100,000. I saved myself from spending a lifetime on someone who measured value by price tags, not partnership. She built a second closet. I built a second chance. If you've ever uncovered betrayal dressed in elegance, like, subscribe, and join me for more stories where truth isn't loud, but always decisive.